Let's talk about Kyle Rittenhouse. Behold this image for those that are watching on YouTube. It is the prosecutor one of the prosecutors in the Kyle Rittenhouse case face palming. And this was when their own witness, Gage Grosskreutz, admitted he only was fired upon after he drew his gun on Kyle and then advanced on him. And the crazy thing about this is that in the trial, this guy Gage was lying over and over again, and the defense kept calling him out like, here's a signed statement, here's a photograph, here's an image, here's a video. And then only then was the dude finally admitting what he was saying was like, oh, okay, and then like changing his answer. In this instance, he was asked by the defense. The defense asked Gage Grosskreutz. He's one of the guys who attacked Rittenhouse and got shot. And the defense said it was only when you pointed the gun at Rittenhouse that he fired upon you. And Grosskreutz said no at first. So the defense pulls out a photo, gives it to him, and he's like, what's that a photo of? And he's like, you're pointing your weapon at Rittenhouse. And then he's firing on you. And then he said it again. So it was only after you advanced on Rittenhouse, gun drawn, pointed at him, that he fired on you. And that's when he goes, yes. Immediately, all the pundits are like, oh, directed verdict, it's over. But I don't know if it means it's over. It certainly means that on the murder charges, I think a fair assessment would be Rittenhouse is going to get its self-defense. But there's still the weapons charge. And Kash, interestingly, you were saying like you've tried cases before and you think the jury might actually say we don't care about this? Or
look, I tried like 60 jury trials to verdict, right? Criminal murders, homicides, bank robberies, narco trafficking, you name it, right? Every case I thought I was going to win, I lost. Every case I thought I was going to lose, I won. Juries are, and this is why there is no such thing as jury specialists, because you cannot be that good at reading 12 total strangers. And the signs in this case are good, but people are like, well, if a jury's out for 3 days, it means the defense won. There are no rules for this stuff. I think this is a very good day for the defense. And also the fact that the prosecutor in this case has his head in his hand.
This photo's amazing.
No, but means he did not prep his key witness, the major witness in the case, the victim, because he's shocked to have that verbiage come out during trial.
He was a star witness.
Not a victim.
Not a victim. Sorry.
Not a victim.
Yeah.
My bad.
He was a star witness
complaining witness. Sorry.
Lied to the police, lied about exactly what happened here. And now this, I mean, some people are saying this is over, but as you said, court proceedings are like gambling. You never know what the outcome's going to be. And there's a lot of people threatening riots, a lot of people threatening protests, a lot of people threatening to go after the jury as well. So we're having a lot of outside impact on this very important trial that I think we should also kind of hone in on and talk about.
That's crazy to me, though. People were saying it was like Recchietta Law. There's a viral video that Viva Frei posted. These are lawyers, by the way, for those who aren't familiar with them. And Rekkietta's like, directed verdict. There it is on all murder charges, which basically means, can you explain directed verdict?
Sure. It's this mechanism in legal trials where you say, judge, did you just see what happened? There's so much evidence to go our way being the defense, take the case out of the hands of the jury, direct a verdict, because the law cannot convict this man based on the facts. It's rarely used. I agree with the sentiment expressed by the attorneys, but a judge can also reserve a directed verdict till after the jury even comes back with their verdict. So that's generally what happens.
Does that happen often?
Wow.
Less than 1% of the time.
So wait, you're saying that the jury could actually come back and be like, he's guilty, but the judge could go, no.
Yep. You can still file your motion for directed verdict afterwards, because you can say the jury erred. They decide the fact. You, judge, decide the law. And based on the law, you can't convict my client of murder.
I think it's insane this is even a trial at this point. It's political.
I was just going to say, it's the politics. And that's what makes this trial even scarier. It's the politics of the case make it even scarier, because the jury is going to feel more pressure.
It's going to be kind of screwed up if I turn out to be right. Because it was, well, what I mean is a few months ago, I said Kyle's going to get life. Because what happened with the Chauvin trial is, we mentioned this a little bit briefly before the show, that they get him on murder and all that stuff, but it was like potentially manslaughter, if that was the argument. And then during the court case, it was not just my opinion as a layman, which is not worth much at all, but all these legal analysts, actual lawyers, actual defense lawyers saying like, wow in these instances, but the jury was under duress. So you end up with jurors coming in the Chauvin trial being brought in by armed cops with machine guns. Clearly something's wrong in that case. And then the jurors even said after the fact they were scared they'd be targeted. I felt the same way with the jurors in the Rittenhouse case. No one is going to want to stand up and stick their neck out for this kid if a rioter is going to show up and burn your house down. However, now it's winter. People don't riot in the winter as much. Like it typically won't happen. Now it looks like they definitely overcharged Rittenhouse. And so I'm starting to think that, after seeing how the judge was ruling on this and how the state has been handling it, they've had 3 witnesses they've called that have backfired on them. You had Richie McGinnis, who basically was like, the dude said F you and tried grabbing the gun, and they tried finagling their way out of that one. You had, I think his name was Ryan Balch, who said one of the people who attacked Rittenhouse went up to them earlier in the day and said, if I catch you alone, I'll effing kill you. And that was a prosecution's witness. And then you get this guy who's like suing the city for $10 million. And he gets asked by the defense, the outcome of this case will impact whether or not you win that money. And he's like, yeah, but he stopped short of saying he thought, convicting Rittenhouse would help him win the money. And then you get this where he's basically like, I was only fired upon when I pointed my gun. But what if the jury gets scared? There's a viral video where a guy's like, we got cameras in the courtroom. We know who these people are. What if the jury gets scared?
They split the baby. That's what they used to call it. Basically, the judge or the jury comes in and says, there's too much political heat on this. There's too much media on this. If we are just deciding this case on the facts and the law, we'd probably acquit him. But we're not going to convict him of murder. We're going to go in between and probably hit him with a manslaughter charge. That happens a lot in high-profile media cases.
That's scary.
That's
not justice.
No, it's the furthest thing from it.
With the Chauvin case, I think it might have been Will Chamberlain who mentioned this. Will?
Yeah.
Lawyer. He was saying that as soon as the judge in that case acknowledged there's nowhere you can go where people won't know about the rioting, he was like, it should have been dismissed. The case outright. If you can't have a fair trial, then you can't have a trial.
Yeah, there was a cost to move that venue, move it out, and that's what he was alluding to. And, most judges won't do it.
Watching this case with Rittenhouse, I mean, it feels like the prosecutor is throwing it on purpose.
I mean, I think he's just not prepared. He looks to me like a prosecutor when I was a public defender, faced guys like this who thought, I've got this case so in the bag, like the Casey Anthony prosecutors down in Miami. I've got this case so in the bag, I literally don't have to do anything but just put up my witnesses, and the political shitstorm in the media will come in and basically overcome my failures.
Why do they want to prosecute Rittenhouse? They've seen all the evidence.
Well, again, you're going back to justice, right? Which is a concept that's unfortunately eroding in this country. But basically, their take is, we've got to prosecute this guy. The media is going to, come after us if we don't. Certain politicians will come after us. Certain factions of America will come after us if we don't prosecute this individual.
He's not I don't know if you know this, but was Kyle Rittenhouse charged with manslaughter? He wasn't, was he?
You don't have to be.
That's what I was going to get to.
Basically, once you're charged with the top crime, you can be convicted of everything underneath it. So murder includes manslaughter. There's probably 3 different kinds of manslaughter. It includes aggravated assault, and if he used a weapon, there's a firearms charge. There's a whole litany of things that comes in underneath.
So what do you think? You think he's going to get a lesser charge?
Yeah.
Man, that's BS.
What do you think
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. What do you think about Human Events reporting that the FBI allegedly had footage of exactly what happened here, but they didn't want to release it because they didn't want to exonerate Rittenhouse? That's the allegations by Human Events.
Wow. Look, having been a guy who was a national security prosecutor, prosecuted terrorists all over the world, and worked with the FBI, I love those guys, most of them, right? What I don't like is the top, and that Russiagate, and we'll get to that as a prime example of how America's faith in our law enforcement community has been destroyed by a select few. And when you say something like that, if you told me that 7 years ago, I'd be like, you're crazy, man. If you tell me that today, I'd be like, someone needs to do that. Someone needs to look into that seriously, because if the Justice Department withheld evidence, exculpatory evidence, like we've caught them doing time and time again, from Russiagate on through the Flynn case, when Flynn was exonerated, they withheld exculpatory evidence, the FBI.
Well, the Epstein case, they withheld the information for 30 plus years. The FBI was interviewing witnesses in the 90s.
That's right.
With women that came forward and said, hey, this is happening, and the FBI literally looked the other way. There was the other case of the other family-friendly show, the other person who hurt children. I forgot his name. We were just talking about that.
Prince Andrew?
There's, of course, Prince Andrew, and then there's another there's another case a couple weeks ago where the FBI again ignored the victims, screwed them when they knew.
The Nasser.
Yes,
Nasser.
Nasser.
Yeah.
So it's like, how many times could they do this now?
Dude.
Yeah.
I'm watching the live stream of this case. And I think anybody who's watching this is probably asking themselves over and over again, how was Gage Grosskreutz not criminally charged for at least having the gun, right? But it sounds like attempted murder, potentially. The only reason that we are not watching a trial is for attempted murder is that Kyle Rittenhouse defended himself. Gage Grosskreutz lied to the police, multiple officers, about having a gun. His concealed carry was invalid. He knew it was invalid. So he lied to the police. So here he is at a protest. He goes at a riot. He goes to he's admitted this on the stand, multiple events, armed with a gun he's not legally allowed to be carrying. Now, I'll stop right there and say, I believe that's a bunk claim because the Constitution says you have right to keep and bear arms. And then trying to put this law over someone's right to keep and bear arms is BS. But for the sake of the statutory legal issue at play, here's a guy who should have been charged for bringing an illegal weapon concealed to a riot on multiple occasions. And the prosecution showed that he was chasing Kyle Rittenhouse out of view of Rittenhouse. He didn't know where Kyle was. And you can see him on camera running towards him and reaching into the small of his back and drawing the gun from his waistband. How did this guy not get charged? Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.